He entered the boardroom with the arrogance of a man who thought the world bowed to him. All eyes fell on her, a black woman sitting confidently at the table as he sneered and whispered words meant to humiliate her. Laughter erupted around the room, sharp and cruel, while she remained composed, her hands clenched under the table. Power seemed absolute, until everything began to unravel. How could one woman, mocked and dismissed in front of the world, turn the tables so completely that his position and pride would vanish within hours? Her mornings usually began the same way, coffee in hand, reviewing spreadsheets, and preparing for the day ahead in her sleek downtown office. She had worked her way up in a world that too often doubted her abilities, her sharp mind and strategic insight earning respect one meeting at a time. Colleagues admired her competence, though some tried to downplay it, offering backhanded compliments or questioning her decisions with subtle, pointed skepticism. She had learned long ago that confidence wasn't enough. Resilience and precision were her armor. Outside the office, she navigated a world that often underestimated her. Sideways glances, whispered assumptions, and doors that opened a little more slowly reminded her constantly of the barriers she had overcome. Yet she never let it shake her. Every challenge she faced only strengthened her resolve, shaping her into someone who demanded not attention, but fairness in every room she entered. Today, however, the rhythm felt different. As she walked into the boardroom, her heels clicking softly against the polished floor, there was a sense of tension she couldn't place. Papers were stacked, chairs arranged, and the usual chatter filled the air. But beneath it all, an invisible current of expectation and judgment rippled through the room. She could feel it, the weight of eyes measuring her before she had spoken. The man across the table exuded arrogance, the kind that made people laugh at the expense of others. She knew him by reputation, a CEO whose ego often overshadowed reason. What she didn't know yet was how sharply their collision would cut, how quickly his confidence would turn to disbelief. Laughter and mockery were about to meet something he hadn't prepared for, a quiet, unshakable power that refused to be diminished, even in front of a room full of doubters. The room had gone quiet, but it wasn't a respectful silence. Every movement, every glance, seemed designed to remind her of her place, or at least the place others assumed she occupied. He leaned back in his chair, a smug smile playing at the corners of his lips, while his colleagues exchanged chuckles that cut sharper than knives. Papers shuffled, phones buzzed quietly, and somewhere in the background, a clock ticked, each second echoing her growing awareness that this was no ordinary meeting. He spoke first, a remark laced with subtle contempt, the kind meant to be overlooked by everyone but her. She caught it instantly, the cruel undercurrent of his words slicing through the air like glass. Around the table, eyes darted nervously, unsure whether to intervene or join in. It wasn't outright hostility, not yet, but the intention was unmistakable, to humiliate, to reduce her to a caricature in front of the board. She remained composed, hands folded on the table, heart hammering beneath her calm exterior. Minutes stretched, each one heavier than the last. His barbed comments escalated, targeting her experience, her achievements, even the way she carried herself. Laughter erupted from some, murmurs of agreement from others. She could feel the weight of their judgment pressing down, an invisible hand attempting to crush not her body, but her dignity. Her pulse quickened, a storm of anger and disbelief rising. Yet she knew showing it would only feed the spectacle. Then came the subtle manipulation, the shift in the agenda, the sudden questioning of a deal she had championed for months. Figures were misrepresented, projections skewed, all under the guise of professional scrutiny. The injustice of it burned in her chest. This wasn't just a clash of personalities. It was a calculated attempt to discredit her in a room that often saw brilliance through the lens of privilege. A tight knot formed in her stomach as the CEO's smirk widened. Convinced his performance of dominance had gone unnoticed. But beneath her calm, a strategy was forming. She watched, assessed, and waited for the precise moment to respond. The air itself seemed to thicken with anticipation. her colleagues caught between amusement and unease, the power dynamics shifting in ways they hadn't predicted. The crescendo was building, every whispered joke, every pointed glance, every deliberate pause amplifying the tension. And then, as he prepared to deliver what he thought would be the final blow to her credibility, something unexpected happened. She leaned forward slightly, voice steady, eyes unwavering, signaling that this confrontation was far from over. The room held its collective breath. For the first time, doubt flickered across the faces of those who had been so certain of his control. The CEO's smirk had grown into a full-blown grin, certain he had her cornered. Every whisper, every laugh, every calculated glance from the room reinforced his sense of dominance. But she didn't flinch. Every second, she gathered herself, letting the weight of his arrogance build until it became combustible. Her hands, previously clenched beneath the table, now hovered above the papers, steady, deliberate. The air was taut with expectation. Colleagues shifted uneasily, sensing the tide was about to turn, though none could predict how. Then came the moment. With calm precision, she unveiled the truth. Facts, figures, emails, and contracts meticulously documented, each one exposing the gaps in his claims, the lies he had woven to protect his pride. Every piece of evidence landed like a hammer striking steel, echoing through the room. The laughter faltered, muttered snickers died midair, and the CEO's face tightened, the first cracks appearing in the armor of arrogance he had worn for decades. He attempted to regain control, raising his voice, dismissing her points, calling her overreaction. But she met every attempt with unshakable composure, her logic undeniable, her presence commanding. The room had shifted. His allies faltered, their confidence dissolving as the power dynamics reversed in real time. Every second that passed, the reality became clear. The woman they had mocked was not only competent, but unstoppable in her resolve. For the first time, doubt crept into his eyes, a flicker of fear that went unnoticed by few. The authority he wielded so carelessly now felt fragile, slipping through his fingers as she dismantled his carefully constructed facade. Silence filled the room, not the respectful silence of attention, but the stunned quiet of those witnessing a reckoning long overdue. The room was silent, the weight of what had just happened settling over everyone like a storm finally spent. The CEO, once untouchable, now sat stripped of authority and credibility, his arrogance exposed for all to see. The woman who had endured mockery, humiliation, and doubt had not only defended herself, she had changed the balance of power entirely. In hours, she had transformed a moment of discrimination into a testament of strength, intelligence, and unshakable resolve. Walking out of that boardroom, she felt a mixture of exhaustion and vindication. Every step echoed not just with the triumph of this moment, but with the countless struggles she and others like her had faced in workplaces across the world. The injustice she endured was not unique, it was the quiet, insidious kind that lingers in boardrooms, offices, and classrooms, where talent is overshadowed by prejudice and confidence is questioned because of the color of skin. Yet here was proof that dignity, preparation, and courage could turn the tide. Her victory was not only personal, it was symbolic. It reminded everyone present, and anyone who would hear this story, that respect cannot be demanded through fear, and authority cannot hide behind laughter and condescension. It highlighted the persistent barriers Black women face in professional spaces and how systemic bias can be challenged, even when it feels insurmountable. As the hours passed and the news of the canceled deal spread, the impact rippled further than any single boardroom could contain. Conversations shifted, colleagues reflected, and the CEO who once commanded unquestioned power now became a cautionary tale. It was a reminder that injustice can be confronted, that silence is never required, and that one person's courage can ignite change far beyond themselves. And so the question lingers. How often do we overlook talent because of prejudice? And how long will we allow arrogance to go unchallenged? In a world built on systems of inequality, her story is both a warning and a beacon, a call to recognize, confront, and dismantle the barriers that hold so many back. The moment she reclaimed her power was more than a victory. It was a testament to resilience, justice, and the undeniable truth that dignity will always find its way.